A lot of people spend years trying to change their life without ever changing the way they look at it. They keep waiting for something outside of them to happen, like getting a better job, getting more money, having better friends, a relationship, a new city, a lucky break from something. They tell themselves that once one of those things happen, they'll finally feel different. And sometimes it works, a lot of the time it doesn't. Because the way you see the world has a huge impact on the world you experience. There's a quote that says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. At first, it sounds fake. How can the same thing suddenly become different just because you change the way you think about it? But the older I get, the more I think there's a lot of truth behind it. Think about two people doing the exact same job. One of them sees every day as evidence that they're trapped into the same thing for every single day. The other sees it as something that's paying for the life they're trying to build. They're waking up at the same time, working the same hours, dealing with the same people, but they're living two completely different experiences. The job is still the same job, but the way they look at it is different. The same things happen with failure. Some people fail once and decide they're just not good enough. Other people fail and think, okay, now I know what doesn't work. From the outside, both of them did fail. One person stopped, the other just kept going. Years later, people will probably say one of them was just more talented. They won't see that the biggest difference started with how each person understood the same situation. I think we do this all the time without noticing. We assume the first way we see something is the correct way. If something goes wrong, we immediately decide what it means. If someone doesn't reply to our message, we make up a reason. If we have one bad day, we convince ourselves the whole week is ruined. We don't even realize we're telling ourselves a story. We just accept it as reality. The problem is that our first reaction isn't always true, it's just the fastest one. Have you ever been worried about something for days, maybe even weeks, only for it to turn out completely fine? At the time, your brain made the problem feel real. It wasn't lying on purpose, it was just trying to prepare you. But you still spend days living inside a version of reality that never happened. The same thing happens with other people. Somebody walks past you without saying hello. Maybe they're ignoring you, or maybe they didn't see you. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're thinking about something completely unrelated. The point is, you don't know. But your brain loves being certain. It would rather make up an answer than admit that it doesn't have one. Social media makes this even worse. People see one clip of somebody and decide they know exactly who that person is. One mistake becomes their whole personality. One bad opinion becomes proof that they're horrible and they have no empathy and things like that. We fill in the blanks with whatever fits the story we already want to believe. The strange thing is that your brain can also work in your favor if you let it. Imagine you're trying to learn something new. You could spend every day thinking about how far you still have to go. Or you could spend every day noticing how much easier things are compared to when you started. The amount of progress is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is what you're paying attention to. But that's something I don't think enough people realize. Your attention shapes your experience. If you spend all day looking for proof that your life is falling apart, you'll probably find some. If you spend all day looking for proof that everyone else has it better than you, you'll definitely find it. The internet gives you an endless supply of reasons to feel behind if that's what you're searching for. On the other hand, if you start paying attention to small improvements, they become easier to notice. You realize you're handling problems better than you used to. You realize things that once scared you don't bother you anymore. You realize you're becoming someone your past self would have looked up to, even if you still have a long way to go. That doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. Some situations really are bad. Some people really do treat you badly. Some problems need to be faced instead of explained away. Changing the way you look at something isn't about lying to yourself, it's about giving yourself a fair chance to see the full picture instead of only the part your emotions showed you first. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. When something happens, our emotions usually speak way before our logic does. Women. If somebody criticizes us, we get defensive. If something doesn't go our way, we get frustrated. If life feels unfair, we start looking for more evidence that it is unfair. Before long, everything starts fitting that same story. But stories can change. Maybe failing in interview, for example, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. Maybe it means you're one interview closer for the one that works out. Maybe somebody else's success isn't proof that you're behind. Maybe it's proof that what you're trying to do is possible. Maybe being alone right now isn't a punishment. Maybe it's giving you time to become someone you're actually proud of before bringing other people into your life. The situation might stay the exact same, but what it means to you can completely change. When people say they want a different life, I think what they really want is a different experience of life. They want to wake up with more hope, less stress, more excitement, more peace. Sometimes that comes from changing your circumstances. Sometimes it comes from changing the way you see the circumstances you already have. It's easy to believe that happiness is waiting somewhere in the future, that once everything is finally in place, your way of thinking will magically change. But what if it's the other way around? What if changing the way you think is part of what gets you there? The older I get, the less I believe that every problem needs a new solution. Sometimes it just needs a new angle, a different question, a different way of looking at the exact same thing, because maybe those problems aren't problems at all. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at really do start to change. Not because the world changed overnight, because you've thought differently, but because you finally gave yourself permission to see more than one version of it.